Good morning. It is the Death Binder finale. And so this is week 8 of 8. And today's topic is going to be a little more low key as far as having to gather things, perhaps, but maybe a little bit more reflective. Um, This morning, I can't find my John Deere hat or my burnt orange t-shirt, and Pedro is playing with one of his favorite people. My brother-in-law is visiting, and so Pedro thought playing with him was more interesting than sitting out here with me. So I'm Pedro-less. Okay, so today, as far as the table of contents goes, we are in the last two sections, the funeral section and the taxes section, which like they sort of go together, huh? So we'll do them both today. And so there's three sections of the death binder skeleton that we'll be referring to. The first is this biographical information. The second is the funeral. And then we have the tax returns. So three parts of the death binder. First, as far as biographical information. So this is probably the thing that I was least prepared for with my father. And I wish I had done more work in advance, but I just wasn't in the mind space to do it. Um, but at some point, somebody might want to. There are two reasons to record this biographical information. Um, Somebody may want to make an obituary for you. If so, it's good to have this information recorded. But I really don't care if there's an obituary made for me, but I do think that there are people like my children who would like to have it just written down what I did. So, you know, where I went to school, what was my employment history? What organizations have I been a part of? My family has heard me talk about things, but to have it all written down, I think could be interesting for them and helpful if they chose to write an obituary. So that's why I think this page is important. I will say for my father, the in lieu of flowers part, you know how obituaries tend to say that. I just decided to leave that off as obituary. And then I had people contacting me saying, what could we give to in his honor? And I realized like people like to honor somebody by giving to something that they're interested in. And like, I didn't think of the perfect thing until well after the fact. So, I wish that that had been, ironed out a little earlier. Um, so I think that that's helpful for people. Uh, Either in lieu of flowers, where would you like donations to be given? You know, that could be used for an obituary to have others give, or the people that you leave behind, just them knowing, hey, I think this is really important. They might want to make an annual gift on your birthday or something like that. So I do think that that is helpful for people to have. Um, these are just meant to be bulleted things to get you started. I actually, typed out a document that was more specific to us as far as this sort of information, part for myself and a part for my husband. Okay. The second part is the funeral burial planning. Definitely, if you have some sort of prepaid funeral, that information needs to be in there about how to contact, like who to contact and how to get access to those funds. Also, if you don't have a prepaid funeral, do you want one? That's a question. Um, I'm not going to elaborate on whether I think it's a good idea or anything. I'll just say it's definitely a question that you could have. Um, do you have a preferred funeral home? Oh, Pedro decided to make a visit. There he is. He wants to play with that orange toy. Okay, later. Do you have a preferred funeral home? Now, I'm going to tell you, Most of these things on this page, I don't care about. I don't care if there's a funeral for me or if there's a song or who officiates. I really don't care. For me, um, the people that I leave behind can do what is right for them. But, if there is prepaid information that is important to get written down, and um like the preferred form of disposition. Do you want to be buried? Do you want to be cremated? Like my husband and I have gone through like a process with that. We have also gone through a process with a preferred cemetery. Um, and so this again, it's a living document. As you're living, your thoughts about this are going to change. And so it's an important thing to revisit these ideas maybe each year so that you can go with where you currently are in your life and update accordingly. Okay, so put a little thought into what your preferences are. And if you're like, I don't care, fine. But if you if you haven't actually made the decision about, say, if and where you want your final remains to be placed, then give it a little thought and you might be nudged in your mind in a certain direction, and then you can write that down. um, and it's interesting actually year to year to see how you evolve in that thinking. Okay, relatedly or not relatedly, we have taxes. So having tax information together is important for yourself. If you need to pull a piece of information from a previous year, then having it located in your binder is very helpful. Um, but if you pass for others as they're trying to finish up your estate, perhaps having access to tax information would be helpful. I think most places recommend 7 years. That's why I have 7 here. Now, if you have paper tax returns, you can put them in your binder. If you have an online service or something that you have online access to where you file your taxes, you can include like the URL, the username, password here so that someone can get access. I actually have an online place where my taxes are stored, but I also print out a copy each year and just put it in the binder. So there's 7 years. And then each year I take the last one out, put the new one in. But having the person who would be receiving the death binder when you pass know how to access your tax information will be very helpful to them. Okay. So, again, certain things today you're going to feel like strongly about, and some things no. And go with what's right for you at this point in your life, and just know that you can revisit these decisions. So, in recap, number one, the the homework part of the class, the do part, you want to get your bio information together, your biographical information. And that could be used for an obituary, but it could also just be used as part of history for your family. Number two, what do you feel strongly about regarding your funeral? Um, is Do you feel strongly that there is or is not one? Do you feel strongly about being cremated or not cremated, or your body donated to science, or like what you feel strongly about? Get that down. And if you have a prepaid funeral, definitely people need to know how to access that. Get your tax information in your binder so that like the executor of your will know how to access your taxes. And as always, deathbinder23@gmail.com for any questions. Okay, so the last treat of the Deathbinder series. Okay, so this is inspired by something I'm going to do today. My sister is visiting. She always comes this weekend because we do a 5K color run in support of the United Way. And so the color runs at 9 o'clock. And So today's treat is to recreate a favorite picture. And so there's two benefits to this. One, you get to look through some pictures. That's always fun. And two, you get to choose one that you really like and recreate it. It could be a picture of you yourself doing something fun. It could be a picture, "Hey, there's my best friend, and we're eating a piece of cheesecake at this restaurant, so I should probably recreate that because then I get to go out with my best friend and eat the cheesecake and take another picture." So my recreation is last year, my husband, myself, my sister, and her husband, we took a picture of ourselves standing, um, out in my yard right before the color run. And so I'm gonna recreate that today. They don't know it, but I think they will, go along with the idea. Recreated pictures are just really fun to look back on, or you could choose something, um, from your childhood, from your kid's childhood. Be creative, but recreating a picture can be fun. Okay, that is a wrap on the Death Binder series. We've got it done before September, so before the fall. And remember, it's a living document. So you've worked hard. You might put some finishing touches on it, but there are going to be sections where you haven't done the A plus job. There are sections where I haven't done the A plus job. I'm sort of at a C level. Okay. Just know you can continue to work on it, but take a big break. Maybe next year when you revisit it, you take some sections from level C to level B. Um, so this is a process that's never done. You're always going to revisit it, but I hope that you are further along than what you were 8 weeks ago. And probably next year, you'll hear me bugging you about the Death Binder again on my anniversary, because that's when I start bugging people. Okay, have a wonderful day. Thank you for joining me for this series. Bye bye.